If you're trying to decide whether or not to buy a 9600, I understand your dilemma. Investing in one could end up being a complete waste of time and money, and we want to avoid that at all costs. In this video, we'll take one last look at Philips' attempt to improve on the 9500 and help you make a sound decision. Should you purchase something completely different from both of these? Stick around and let's find out. Greetings, mate. Stuart Charles here, HomeStudioBasics.com, helping you make sound decisions leading to a beautiful audio experience that will make you fall in love with music, not gear, all over again. So, when I realized that I didn't have an individual review of this headphone, I thought it would help if I revisited the 9600 and clarified my thoughts better, since I've now owned one dating back to September, October of 2020. Build and comfort-wise, you're making a fantastic investment. All of the qualities that made the 9500 great are still here in spades, only a bit better in some respects. The click adjustment is actually improved and locks much better, and clamp force seems to be a tad less loose. But that may just be a matter of not using them quite as much as the 9500. Also, loose in this context doesn't really denote a negative connotation, and isn't really an issue as both are phenomenal comfort-wise. In fact, I rank both very highly in my most comfortable headphones of all time article, which I'll link down below. I'm not going to get too much into the aesthetic, but I personally prefer the look of the 9500 over the 9600. Your mileage may vary. The real question lies in the 9600's value. What does its sound offer that the 9500s didn't? In short, the 9600 did improve upon the treble bite that was present in the 9500, but the mid-bass and mid-range are now kind of wonky-ish. The mid-range of the 9600 isn't bad per se. Like when you look at a graph, it seems like it's kind of almost scooped out, kind of hollowed out, carved out, but when you're listening to it, you don't really hear that. It doesn't sound like it's just completely missing, which was interesting to me. You know, it can sound maybe a tad pushback when you're comparing with other headphones, but by and large, it's not going to be a huge deal breaker or problem, even though the graph kind of indicates that it's a little bit missing. So the other difference was the mid bass here is definitely more prominent than the 9500s, although both sub basses roll off quite a bit. Now, I don't find the mid bass rise here to be an issue. It's about 5 dB elevated, but it's not a bump. It's more of a gradual rise slash hill. It actually sounds really good with like rap, hip hop, indie pop, etc. Even jazz and classical are pretty decent with the 9600. In fact, I actually kind of enjoyed this headphone more with those genres because it gives a little bit of a warm-ish tone and flavor. Classical tends to be a really volatile genre, going from quiet to loud in a hurry, so there's that. But what's interesting is that the price of the 9600 has come down by about $30. So I paid around $130 when it initially came out, and it's dropped down to around $99. So there's a reason for that, for sure. Again, the sound isn't bad by any means, and there's certainly value here in that you can easily attach a Boom Pro, but you can also do that with the 9500, and in my opinion, you're getting a bit better of a sound there, at a cheaper price too. I'll put a link to the 9500 review below as well. So to answer the question, I do believe the 9600 is a waste of time and money for none other than the simple reason that I don't actually listen to it, like hardly ever. Which may surprise you. I mean, I have, or it may not. I mean, I have a ton of headphones here. I'm slowly getting rid of them, giving some away that I like, selling ones that I don't like. I bought it in 2020. I demoed it against the 9500 for the official comparison, and it's pretty much collected dust up until the moment that I decided to revisit it here. That's very telling. So don't make the mistake that I did and purchase it. It's honestly a waste of $130. Just get a 9500. Now, should you purchase something different from a 9500? That's a tough question because the Boom Pro pairs incredibly well with my 9500. And if you go with something other than a headphone with a 3.5mm jack, you'll have to use a mod mic. The mod mic, while more convenient than a Boom Pro, doesn't sound nearly as good. I'll link you to a video that I did above for that as well. For instance, you could go with a 5.8X, but its soundstage isn't quite as good for gaming. You could also go with a 560S and get a small 2.5mm to 3.5mm adapter for the Boom Pro, but I personally wouldn't buy that headphone either. Again, review down below. My top picks would be the 9500 and then upgrade to the K702. If you'd like to find out exactly what the K702 can do for you and why it's so valuable for gaming as well as general music listening, click the article here to my right, and keep me posted with any questions on the blog or here. I'll see you around.